Hey YouTubers, what's happening? I hope everybody's doing well, and it's been a long time no see since I've actually used my real face since the days of COVID when I got stricken by that and I started using the pig face. Well, I'm feeling much better, just to let you all know, and we are going to be coming back with a few new SBA updates for you, EIDL grant updates, and PPP loan updates as well. As we all know, if you like the information, please like and subscribe. The EIDL grants, which I'm going to be going over today, I'm gonna take you through a story. There seems to be maybe a little bit of a misconception of who Isabel Guzman is. First of all, she is, yes, the administrator of small business administrations. It's not set in stone yet. It pretty much is, but it's not. She hasn't gotten the full out okay. And there are reasons behind that. There are many reasons behind that. And I'm going to let you all know, if you think she's your knight in shining armor or your superhero, I think I don't know where that information is coming from. You may not know who Isabel Guzman is. First of all, she is from California. She was the California SBA officer over there, and she headed that over there. And then California didn't do too well as far as with their finances goes. But there's more to it than that. The SBA has been with Carranza was very tight. It was very tight with their information and their data on who they delivered it to. Congress was kind of in the weeds with, hey, where's the money going? Why isn't it going to who we wanted it to? Why didn't the grants go out to everybody? It's because Carranza was a whippersnapper, and she took it into her own hands, saying it's not going to go out for everybody. We're going to target it to $1,000 per employee, and that's where we're at right now. Everybody that I know only got $1,000 per employee, and now they're going into 10,000 if you live in a certain community, which we'll see about that too. I'm going to go over a few steps that are happening as we speak. The litigation that's going on. I'm going to bring you up to date to let you know that here's where we stand, and this is going to give you a good bird's eye view of what's really happening, because what Guzman is stepping into, she has no idea. She is basically on the job training, guys. She is not, she doesn't know a lot of what's going on, and she's going to have to figure it out as she goes. And I'm going to go over a few questions here that were asked to her, and we will start with this one.
I appreciate that very much. Well, so given your insights, why has it been such a problem with this program?
I understand that there were lots of programmatic issues when they first established it, and in terms of making really strong controls and measures, and so balancing that with efficiently and effectively getting the program out is, I think, the challenge. And so I'd need to dive back in and understand where they're at with some of those changes to see if there's ways to simplify the program.
Okay, so what she's saying is, yeah, there's a lot of problems with the program. I do understand that, but I got to get in there and figure things out. So with that being said, we know that she's just not going to jump right in and have it figured out, which means they're not just going to go ahead and inaugurate her. They're not going to say, okay, well, we're putting you in there, and you're going to figure it out as you go. They're going to get some things figured out and wean her into basically like an orientation for her, so that when she does go in, she can already have things polished up and she looks like a hero, instead of just going in and everybody being like, what's she doing? She hasn't done nothing. I haven't heard nothing since Guzman got in. Well, it's part of the gig. Now we're going to go into the next Shaheen, and then this will give you a little bit more update on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to Ms. Guzman. Thank you for being willing to be considered for this nomination at this critical time. I think everyone has pointed out the importance of the Small Business Administration in helping our small businesses get through this emergency that we're experiencing because of COVID. And I very much appreciate all of the hard work that those at SBA did after the passage of our bills last year to help small businesses. But I would like to begin with agreeing with Senator Cardin that one of the biggest challenges we had was trying to get information from SBA about how the PPP program and the EIDL programs were working. And it's not clear to me if the challenge is that there are not systems in place to provide that data, or everyone was so overworked that they weren't able to get it for us. But I hope you will commit today to, I heard you say you will talk to the staff and make sure that they produce whatever reports are requested by the committee. I hope you will also agree to come before us and to ensure that any staff that's requested come before us as well to discuss concerns that we might have.
Thank you. Yes, no, I do appreciate that this collaboration with the committee is very important, and so I would completely respect that and work hard to do that.
Great, thank you.
All right, so with that said, she's going to get in there and help them collect some data on us, small business entrepreneurs that are out there. But if we do recognize the Guzman answer to everything is, I'll learn, I'll figure it out, we'll get together, we'll talk about it. She has no MOs, no main objective to anything. It's kind of, it's a little bit disheartening to me that she doesn't just seem to have a clue. She seems almost clueless, as if just to say, yeah, I can't wait to handle the task, and we'll do it. We'll talk, and we'll figure it out. I wish they would have found somebody that had a clue. I'm a little bit disheartened. I hope nobody out there. I mean, I've been hearing people bragging about her, and from what I've seen, it's misinformation. I'll go to the next video. This is Senator Cardin also addressing some issues.
Fine relationship with sharing of information and implementing the new laws that were passed in the CARES Act and reinforced by subsequent legislation. There was one notable exception, and I mentioned it in my opening statement. We had a very difficult time getting the granular information on the loans in order to do our oversight as in Congress, as well as to adjust the program to make sure that the funds were getting to the small businesses in an equitable manner, particularly those in underserved communities. We introduced legislation, made requests to require demographic information be supplied by the borrowers so we could determine where the loans were going from the point of view of communities, whether the underserved communities were really being treated fairly. And we were basically unable to get that information. Just very recently, we got some information on January 31st, the SBA released data on the performance of the 2021 PPP program. This is one that just was passed in December. And unfortunately, less than 22% of the borrowers completed the demographic questionnaire. So my question to you is, what will you do to improve the transparency that you mentioned in your statement so that we can get the data we need to make sure that the programs that we've created are reaching the intended small businesses in an equitable manner, particularly those who have traditionally been underserved? How are we going to make sure we get that demographic information in order to evaluate and oversight the program as well as adjust it moving forward?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. I do believe wholeheartedly that managing with data and information is critical. I agree with you that the decisions rest on performance, and so it would be my priority to ensure that communication and collaboration is open on that information. Further, that we're leveraging our technology fully and our systems and processes to ensure that we can, provide insights as we move along for any adjustments as we proceed. So it is definitely a priority, especially in ensuring strong oversight and control.
I would just urge you to work with the staffs of our committee on this issue because it's been a real challenge for us, and we've been working in the blind in crafting legislation. We had a hard time getting information even on the drawdown on the program when it first started up to make sure there was adequate funding provided. So I take your commitment to work with us in a way that we can share information so that as policymakers we can support your mission with timely information to make adjustments if needed.
Yes, I would completely. Thank you. And I would make sure that my staff is available as well to collaborate with the committee. And
Okay, so we just went through that. Now what that was a whole bunch of we have had no communication with the former SBA, the previous SBAs, which was Carranza and those guys, and she said, yeah, well, I'll have communication with you. So here we are. We're still in once again, she doesn't seem to have any idea of what's going on. She doesn't seem to know. Nobody has given her an update on the inside scoop of the SBA. It's a big organization. Carranza was well aware of what was going on, and Cardin is saying we couldn't even allocate the money. We didn't know which way it was going. We didn't know if she was going to give it to these people or those people or you or the big businesses or the small ones. We had no idea. Can we collaborate with you more so that we can get these things done? But the truth of the matter is she is on the job training here, and as we go deeper into it, you're gonna understand that things may not be as cut and dry with her as some may be saying. And all these things that they're talking about, this is what's going to take time. Senator Cardin or Senator Shaheen that we had just heard from, she spoke to a lot of senators, and they all have a wish list. So with each and every wish list that we're looking at, it's going to take time. So I'm going to go to the next senator, and it's going to be James Inhofe of Oklahoma. And what he was saying is that the big problem that they need to fix is the fraud that was happening. They were giving so much money away to fraudulent applications. Another thing that's going to take a lot of time. And also, if you notice in this, I've heard other SBA and PPP and EIDL YouTubers out there saying, look, if they don't do something, we're going to come out and throw a class action lawsuit against them. Well, it's going to take more time then to get your money, because what they're doing they're seeing the YouTube videos that people are putting out there about class action lawsuits, and they're saying, okay, well, we're going to cover our tails. Let's get some legislation going on, and let's get some talk going on, and get some more credentials in to save ourselves from any, lawsuits that might be coming up against. Let's get some fine print in there, and it's going to make it's so bad because it's making it a lot harder for people to get these loans or grants, because the government can get sued whether they give them to you or not. And so there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of bad publicity going on out there, and I'm trying to clear this up for people. Let's go to to Senator James Inhofe of Oklahoma.
It was designed originally for natural disasters. Now, it's been promoted, and not just to the pandemic, but the program ongoing. It's the EIDL program, that's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, as you're fully aware of. It was designed originally for natural disasters. Now, in my state of Oklahoma, we have had more than our share of natural disasters. And this has been very helpful. But we do hear quite often that the EIDL program has experienced a lot of delays in process, and also heard of significant issues of fraud inside the program. And I believe that's true. In fact, one constituent shared that her husband did not apply for an EIDL, and yet an application appeared, and information was used fraudulently and used in an application. Now, I don't know how that happened, but we do hear that it does happen. Have you addressed the fraud and abuse problem in that particular program?
Thank you, Senator. If confirmed, I would prioritize the reduction of fraud, waste, and abuse, as well as implementing controls and systems and leveraging the technology systems, the new technology systems they implemented, to ensure this program gets into the hands of the small businesses who need it. Because I've heard those same stories in California, very frustrated small businesses or those who could not receive it or get an answer. And I want to prioritize making sure that we...
So you've had, in your experience, you've had personal experience with this?
Correct.
Well, that's good. And I'm glad that you're aware of that.
Yeah, she says she has personal experience with it, but she didn't give us an answer on how she would fix it. I will make sure that doesn't happen to the best of my ability. So she's playing it safe. I get it. What we're going to do now is we're also going to look at. So she's got that to look forward to. She's got to look at investigating fraudulent activity before she even gets going, because they don't, like I said, they don't want to place her in there and then have her do it all, because you're going to be like, what's taking so long? They're going to have a lot of these things in place and then put her in there and then push the buttons, the go buttons, to say, oh, wow, she's doing such a great job. Okay, so next thing
And the last thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that we're aware that some businesses are afraid to reopen because of frivolous lawsuits, and our businesses can't stay closed because they're afraid of being sued. And these businesses will continue to play a central role in rebuilding our local economies, and I think it's something that we need to be looking at. And I would just ask you to agree with me on the importance of providing liability protections to these businesses to ensure our businesses aren't at risk over frivolous lawsuits.
Thank you for that, Senator. I know that liability is a big concern for small businesses, and ensuring that we are addressing the pandemic and making it safe for people out in the marketplace is really critical. I will be the voice of small business and express their concerns and use their stories to be elevated and share those experiences.
Well, that's good, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the future and supporting your nomination.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, Mr.
Senator.
Chairman.
With that said, he was talking about two types of lawsuits here. One of them is the lawsuits of businesses opening up, and then somebody saying, "Hey, I got COVID at that business. I'm going to sue them." So businesses are afraid to open up. And the other lawsuit he was talking about was the fraudulent, frivolous. Hey, I'm going to class action the SBA and the government and the lenders for either not lending me the money or lending me a smaller amount, and they're trying to protect themselves. So with that, more time. The litigation has got to take place on all of these things, guys. So that's another stump in the road there. That's another roadblock. And so she's got a lot of catching up to do. Now what I would like to also say here is Kuntz came in, and a lot of you know who Kuntz is. I'm going to play him for you right here. And remember, each one of these videos I play is something she's going to have to sit down with somebody for a day or two to go over this. So
I'm really encouraged by President Biden's focus on helping restaurants in the American Rescue Plan, and I'd be interested in how you think we can best deliver that, why you think grants are more important than loans, and how significant you think it is to target assistance to sectors like restaurants that have had particularly difficult time of it.
Thank you for that. I do think that that's the challenge of that balance. I'm quite familiar with the programs, and if confirmed, I would look forward to figuring out how we can, push as much as possible to make these simple for our small businesses to understand and leverage, because it is very difficult for them to go through, mounds of papers to try to figure things out.
So there we have Guzman, and they're talking. That was with Kuntz right there, and he's talking about grants. I heard the $10,000. He was etching. He threw that $10,000 number out there. It wasn't about the EIDL. It was about PPP actually. But it's still nice to hear that $10,000 number. It's a magic number for a lot of us. And she thinks that grants are more important than loans, which is very good for us, knowing that what she said to Rosen was. Yeah, she wants to get those grants done. Now on the other side of it, she did say that she wants targeted relief. Now the new bill that they have in Section 331, the new act is, it's targeted towards the low income community. And he was saying, look, we need to get geographical with it. So that could be that could throw us off there a little bit, because she was on board with that as well. And she's very targeted to minorities, which. Minorities were hit very hard with this, and I get that, but so were the average middle class and lower middle class people. So that there we go. Now we're dealing with a Kuntz in Delaware saying, look, we need to keep it targeted, and she's kind of agreeing with him there. So that is another kind of, what do we do with that? Well, we're just going to have to wait and see. Okay. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The question is, okay, the answers that she's given have been the same answers every time. It's, yeah, I agree. We'll look into it and we will take it from there. She's not giving an answer to a straight answer, like, yeah, no, I got a plan for that, or we can try this, or anything. She is saying, "Yeah, we'll look into it, and I'm the one. I'm the one that's going to be doing it." Well, Senator John Kennedy came in and had a couple just simple questions that you and I should know. You and I do know. And of course, the administrator of small businesses, the leader of it all, the hero of it all, Guzman should know. This was, guys. I mean, this was to me, if anything is creating a stumbling block to her being the biggest thing to her being inaugurated for this position, it was the questions that Kennedy had asked her that she could not answer. And this would be like asking your 10-year-old what is 2 plus 2, and your 10-year-old saying, "Well, let's look into that. I don't know. I'd have to go over that. I'd have to research that." Okay, well, let me ask, what's 1 plus 1? I don't know. I'll have to do some research, and we can study it together maybe. And it was the wrong answers. He was throwing her softballs, and she wasn't hitting it. Cardin actually came in at one time to answer a question for her, and kind of got her off the hook. And Cardin was even like, "Oh my gosh, what are we doing? Is this really Biden's? Is this really the one?" Now, I don't want to. Maybe she is. I know people that can catch a ball if you teach them, and they'll be the best receiver that you've ever seen. But there's people that should, when they're going in to apply for a position, they should have already done it. Let me know what you guys think about this. This is kind of the Isabel Guzman that I've come to really be concerned about. It's very concerning. Let me put that up for you. It's a longer video. I think you'll appreciate it.
I want to ask you about our tax code first. In 2007, as you probably know, Congress changed the way we tax pass-through entities. I'm talking about LLCs, LLPs, sub-S corporations, partnerships, sole proprietorships. Congress exempted 20% of the income for those pass-through entities from the federal income tax. Was that a good idea, bad idea? What do you think?
Thank you for that, Senator. I would work in partnership with the Office of Advocacy on issues like this to understand some of the research they've done, as well as be the voice of small business. While I don't have a specific opinion on that, I would love to get back to you and talk to you further about it.
Well, are you familiar with it? Tell me how it works.
Why, I'm familiar that there has been.
Okay, let's try that again.
I want to ask you about our tax code first. In 2007, as you probably know, Congress changed the way we tax pass-through entities. I'm talking about LLCs, LLPs, sub-S corporations, partnerships, sole proprietorships. Congress exempted 20% of the income for those pass-through entities from the federal income tax. Was that a good idea, bad idea? What do you think?
I know.
Thank you for that, Senator. I would work in partnership with the Office of Advocacy on issues like this to understand some of the research they've done, as well as be the voice of small business. While I don't have a specific opinion on that, I would love to get back to you and talk to you further about it.
Well, are you familiar with it? Tell me how it works.
Why, I'm familiar that there has been some tax benefits for these types of organizations, but I would need to get back to you on that in terms of my as it relates to SBA and the programs. I would basically be the voice of small business, of course, and tax issues, regulation issues, all these are of concern, but I don't have specifics on that.
Well, but I mean, obviously, your job is to help small business women, small businessmen, and taxes represent a cost of doing business, just like your electricity bill, your insurance bill. do you think this provision in the law has helped small business, or has it hurt it? Are you
Senator-
just not familiar with it?
Senator, thank you for flagging it. I'm not as familiar with the research in terms of whether or not it has been effective or beneficial. So, rather than answer without any, specific knowledge of a research study, I would rather research that further and get back to you on this issue.
Senator Kennedy, could I interject for 1 minute? I won't take it out of your time, because you're raising
Okay.
a very important point about the tax code impact on small businesses. We don't have jurisdiction over the tax code, but I will be in conversation with Senator Wyden as to whether we can have some opportunity, either a joint hearing, to look at the tax code impact on small businesses, because your point is very well taken. The pass-through, as I understand it, was a rough justice to deal with the C rate reduction, since most small businesses don't use the C rates rather than the corporate rate. Yes. They use the individual rate rather than the corporate rate in their taxes. And I think we do need to get more information on this, because my own personal view is that small businesses have not benefited to the same extent that larger companies that use the corporate tax rate from the 2017 tax bill. I just interject on that because I think this is a subject our committee needs to take a greater look at, and I thank you very much for raising it today at this nomination hearing.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Many of the small businesses in Louisiana are not C corps, which, as you know, has the disadvantage of double taxation. Many of the small businesses in my state are pass-throughs. So this is a very important provision, and I at some point since Ms. Guzman is going to be the champion for small business, I'd kind of like to know what her position is on that. I'm going to submit a question in writing if that's appropriate, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Guzman, let me ask you are you familiar with small business innovation research grants?
Yes, Senator, I am. In terms
well,
of...
Can I interrupt you just a second?
Sure,
Because
please,
I'm about to run out of time. I hate to interrupt people. I'm going to come see you, Ms. Guzman. If I could ask you, and I interrupted you because I want to really give you time to answer this question. What's a better way, as a matter of policy, to increase people's wages? A minimum wage increase or an increase in the earned income tax credit?
Senator, I don't have a, I know that, my responsibility will be to take the research and the data and be the voice of small business, as well as the small business stories around this issue. I intend to do so if confirmed, and, to evaluate and look at the research from both sides. It's been my practice in California to convene working groups with various organizations with, difference of opinion, just so that I can hear and listen to all the opinions across these issues.
Well, yes, ma'am, and I appreciate that. But which, in your opinion, what's a better way to increase wages without impacting business? A minimum wage increase or an earned income tax credit increase?
Senator, I would need to evaluate that. It's similar to my response to you on the previous tax question, that I would need to further, research the matter and share with you, at a different time. So thank you for the question.
How does the earned income tax credit program work?
Earned income tax credit, guys.
Well, SBA would, in terms of the, the impact on small businesses, I really honestly could not share with you at this time.
Just how does the whole program work?
With the earned income tax credit, I mean, businesses are all of these programs are trying to ensure that small businesses are able to, take the tax benefits and credits, that can support their businesses. Again, I can't offer you anything further, sorry. Senator, I know that this is really a critical issue, and I would look forward to partnering with you and your office in the future to discuss this further if confirmed.
Well, it is a critical issue, Ms. Guzman, and I would encourage you to learn more about the earned income tax credit.
I can't hear you guys. I've unmuted myself.
I mean, if we raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, the Congressional Budget Office says it's going to cost us 1.3 million jobs. In the middle of what some of my colleagues say is a recession from the pandemic. An earned income tax credit change, and I'm not advocating here, I'm trying to understand your position on it, because you're going to have to be a champion for small business. A change in the earned income tax credit, which would also put more hands in low-income workers. If we paid for it with an offset or a pay for in the federal budget, would increase people's income without causing people to be laid off.
Senator Kennedy,
So
your time is pretty well expired.
Okay. Did I go over by a lot, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I took some of your time, so I'm trying to equalize it, but I think you're over by about 2 minutes right now.
Well, I'm sorry. Consider this plane landed.
Thank you very much. And I'll just repeat again, on the tax issues, I really do think we need to weigh in and we need to have a view on how their tax code is affecting small businesses. So I look forward to working with you, Senator Kennedy, on that issue. I serve on the Finance Committee, so I will take that message to the Senate Finance Committee.
And I'm sorry I went over, Mr. Chairman, but I can't see the clock.
Senator Arono, WebEx.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too can't see the clock, so you need to let me know when I have 30 seconds left.
That right there.
Ms. Guzman, it's a pleasure to see you again.
If you cannot answer the question, what is an earned income tax credit? That could throw up some red flags for those that are thinking about voting her in to the SBA. It could throw up flags to Biden, who brought her in and said, yeah, this is the person I want. She should have been able to answer that question at the drop of a hat, a couple of questions at the drop of a hat, and she couldn't answer the simplest question. And they wasn't even baited questions. It was just simple. What's earned income tax credit? I don't know. I'll have to do some research on that. You don't know what earned income tax credit is? I know what it is. 90% of Americans know what it is. So when we're asking ourselves what's taken so long with Guzman, that question right there has red flags, not just the Republicans or Democrats or anybody, just any business owner. It would be saying, maybe we need to find somebody else. But that really hurts. So will she still get in? Yeah, maybe. She's still, that's Biden's. They're trying to get her in. I'm just saying that right there could cause some concerns for people, and it might not get her in as easy as we thought it should, or as easy as a lot of people thought she would. That's why they have these hearings. Let me go on in and go to the next one here. This is Hawley, Senator Hawley. And what Senator Hawley does here is he makes a pretty good argument on the EIDL. However, it doesn't go quite the way a lot of us would like to.
Good, thank you. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, you and I visited about this yesterday. I expressed my concern based on the number of folks in Missouri who had come to me who were eligible under the terms of the program, but who had a terrible time receiving funding. And then, of course, as I said to you yesterday, to see the October OIG report that suggested that program, the EIDL program, was rife with waste, fraud, and abuse is particularly frustrating given the meritorious applicants who either had significant delays or weren't able to get the funding. So I know you're aware of the issue. Let me just ask you what steps you will take to ensure the EIDL's program integrity and make sure that legitimate small businesses aren't getting crowded out by fraud and abuse.
I think that, thank you, Senator, for that question, and I did enjoy the conversation about that as we've seen it in California as well. But the controls and oversight are really critical in these programs so we can ensure that the right businesses who are suffering get these funds. And so I would prioritize implementation of the relief funding across the board to ensure that that's the case.
Very good. Thank you very much for your time. Congratulations on your nomination. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'll make sure that we'll do our best to try to not let that happen. What he was saying there is the EIDL program has had so much fraud and abuse, not just, it wasn't targeted to begin with. What are you going to do to make sure that this targeting of the EIDL grant goes to exactly who it needs to go to? That means a lot of people that filled out maybe the EIDL grant with only one page, maybe asked to do a couple more pages. Other than that, I mean, they just don't want to be, letting the money go anywhere. And she doesn't really have here's what we're going to do. This is how we're going to go about it. It's more of a, we're going to try to make sure that doesn't happen. So, I mean, the EIDL program, like you said, it's under siege right now. It's under siege, but I don't believe it's under siege by the small businesses of America. It's under siege by bureaucracy. It's under siege by the politicians. It's under siege by when somebody who can't tell you what the EI earned income credit tax is, then it's under siege by the people that are telling her what it is. They're going to schedule a floor consideration for her shortly. When exactly, we don't know. But here, let me go ahead and find
it. I also want to talk about lifting the caps on EIDL loans and grants. My office helped directly nearly 1,200 Nevada small businesses with their COVID relief programs. And the complaint that we most frequently heard about was the SBA's $1,000 per employee cap on the EIDL advance grants and the $150,000 cap on the EIDL loans. These borrowing caps were not Congress's intent when we allocated these funds, and some of our businesses have not been able to survive because these caps weren't adequate. Last year, I introduced with the bipartisan legislation, EIDL for Small Business Act, that eliminates the borrowing cap on the EIDL loans and the EIDL grants, and it replenished the funding for the EIDL program. And so can you commit this session to work with us to fully remove the caps on EIDL loans and grants and invest the new dollars that are needed, 99% of businesses in Nevada, small businesses, that are needed to give that support that our businesses so desperately need?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, I heard similar concerns from small businesses in California, and if confirmed, I look forward to diving in quickly into all the CARES Act support to make sure that we are reaching the businesses that need it at the levels the Congress has allowed. And so I would look forward to partnering with you and your staff on ensuring that happens.
That's cool that she said that. That's a good end, and that was the end of the litigation with that hearing that they had with her, which was it was on a positive note, saying, I want to go with the intent of Congress on everything. So at least she knew that part. So with the EIDL grant, it's all looking good to go with that. But a lot of politicians don't agree with the EIDL grant. So will she be she isn't flying right in. This is why she's not flying right in, guys, because she couldn't answer a couple basic questions. How this person was running the SBA in California. This was the grand poopah here, man. She was in California. That's why California wasn't doing really well financially. Nonetheless, that is the EIDL update. So with that said, this is what's taken so long. Now you've got the inside scoop. This is the inside scoop. This is what's going down right now. So Guzman is now going into the SBA into the offices, and they're fixing some things, and they're going over these certain questions with senators, and they're finally getting all their ducks in a row. And it's taking a lot longer than they thought it would, because, like I said, this may be an on-the-job training for her. As the PPP and all this stuff was already, I mean, it was pretty much all redone and all reconstructed during Carranza. Carranza was just a little bit more sharp than this woman, financially. With her heart, I think her heart's in the right place, and she wants to do the right thing. So we'll pray and hope that everything goes well from there. This is the inside scoop. This is the EIDL grant update, PPP update, and Isabel Guzman, the administrator of the SBA update. So there was a lot in here, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope this gives you a little bit more of the inside and what's really going on than just, but this is straight from the horse's mouth on all of this stuff. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Give a good big thumbs up, a like, and subscribe. And once again, let me see. Can you see Tom Brady behind me? Yep, that's Tom Brady. He's still here. He's still here. Go Bucks. We won the Super Bowl here in Tampa. It's been rocking. It's been crazy. Thank you, Lord, for giving us that Super Bowl victory. We hope everybody stays safe during this time. And we're going to get that $10,000 grant one way or another. And here's another thing. They were, Holly was talking about the abuse of the EIDL grant. And that was a lot of people out there that really didn't have businesses were trying to say, yeah, I have a business, and they're trying to abuse it by saying they have a business when they never did. And they're catching on to those people. And if you were one of those people, you're probably not going to get it. But if you weren't one of those people and you're a legitimate business, hang in there, you're going to get it. And thanks again for watching, guys. Big thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Have a blessed day. Bye.